quiche, especially when there's bacon. Hey, Chef Daz coming at you from my kitchen, and you know what? Yeah, real men do eat quiche. I eat quiche, you should eat quiche. It's amazing. What is quiche? It's basically a pie shell with an egg mixture and it's baked. Who doesn't like pie crust, right? And who doesn't love good old BC eggs? And the full recipe is at bcegg.com. Let me show you how easy this is. We're gonna start off with bacon, 300 grams worth. We're gonna fry this up. Come join me at the stovetop. All right, medium-high heat. There's no real rocket science to this. I've cut up 300 grams of bacon, the strips, into little pieces, about 1/4 inch, and I'm just gonna put them in there. I'm just gonna cook this, just keeping an eye on it periodically and stirring it until it's crispy, and then we'll shut it off. This recipe is really simple because it tells you to buy a pre-made pie shell. You can buy this in your freezer section of your local grocery store. Everybody sells them. There's the standard pie shell, which I have here today in a foil pan. They also sell the deep dish pie crust as well in a deeper foil pan. But I'm telling you now, I always make my homemade crust. The recipe is also at bcegg.com. Search for perfect pie pastry and you will find that recipe there. You'll also find a video from yours truly showing you how easy it is to make your own perfect pie pastry every single time. Hey, but I get it. A lot of people don't want to do that. So I bought one of these. And I'm going to show you how to make this a little bit more homemade than, you know, in the foil pan and this, it looks like machine cut out sort of edge to it. Get yourself a regular pie plate. So this is a standard 9-inch pie plate and we're going to take this out. So obviously this has been thawed. I leave it out for about 15 minutes and I just gently release it from the foil pan. And once I know I can get it out, I'll take a little bit of flour and put a little bit of flour on the countertop, get my hands dusted in flour a little bit, and then take that pastry out and put it down. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll it out just a little bit thinner. We just wanna make sure if you flip the pie plate over that the crust extends over the top part of the pie plate. So that's sort of your guideline, just keep double checking. So you wanna roll it out too thin. As it is, this is going to be pretty thin because it's just a standard pie pastry, not the deep dish one, okay? So just gently. And always check, make sure it's not sticking to your countertop. You can move it around a little bit. And just making it just a touch bigger. And checking with our pie plate. We can go a little bit more, not quite enough overlapping on that one part there. Let's try again. Perfect. So then you just want to be really careful because it'll be very delicate. That's why we put the flour there. And I'll show you this, watch. We're going to just fold it in half gently and then into quarter. And this is how you're going to transport it to your pie plate. Then just unfold where you had folded it, okay? And then you just adjust at that point. It gives you a way to transport that crust very easily to the pie plate without breaking it. And then we're just gently going to press it into place and adjust the sides as necessary and make sure you get it in all the edges. If you're missing a little bit here, you put it in a little bit crooked. Hey, just take a little bit of the leftover pie pastry you have. Maybe you have some excess over on this side that you can move over. Once it's cooked, no one's really gonna know. You're just making it work. And if anything, you want it to look a little bit misshapen so it looks like you did it yourself, right? You didn't get it from a package. Let's set that aside. You'll also notice that we didn't spray the pan. In typical pie pastry, there's enough fat in there. You don't need to oil it. You don't need to do anything. You just place it in there. We have a little bit of flour on that pie pastry, remember, so that's gonna help it lift off, but you don't need to do anything else other than that. Don't forget about your bacon. Make sure you're stirring it occasionally. We're looking for this to get nice and crispy in individual pieces. Once that bacon is done, we're gonna steal 2 tablespoons of fat. and we're gonna use that to saute the onion and the garlic. But we gotta wait for that bacon to be done. If you don't want to use the bacon fat, you can always use 2 tablespoons of butter instead. All right, bacon is ready. It's nice and crispy. And this is what I normally do when I'm reserving bacon for a recipe. I use a slotted spoon, slotted anything really, and get in there. And I have a bowl here that's lined with paper towel just to soak up the last bit of excess fat. So I want to keep most of that fat in the pan because I'm going to reserve 2 tablespoons and then we can discard the rest. But I just take it and lay it in there. So that makes those bacon pieces remain nice and crisp. If you were to just put this in a bowl, even using a slotted spoon, it would pool up a little bit of leftover fat in there and they would not be as crisp. So we really want to capture that crispness of the bacon as an ingredient. All right, once you're there, like I say, we're going to steal a couple tablespoons of the fat, and then we're going to use this pan after I drain off this bacon fat. All right, put the pan back on the fire. We're going to add that 2 tablespoons back in, 1 medium onion chopped, and 2 cloves of garlic, minced. And we're going to cook that till the onions are soft. Just keep stirring it occasionally, and we'll come back when these are done. All right, that took about 2-3 minutes, depending on how high a heat you have. I did medium heat. Onions are nice and soft now. We're going to go back over to the countertop. All right, this part is optional. In the recipe, it calls for 1 cup of whipping cream and then the onion, garlic, and bacon fat mixture. You can just mix this in with the eggs and the cheese and go on with the recipe, or they give you a tip that you can process this whipping cream and that onion mixture in a blender just to make it a little bit more creamier. You don't have as many chunks in there. So that's what I'm gonna do because I think it's better to do that. So I'm gonna take 1 full cup of whipping cream and then add the onion and garlic mixture to that. All right, then you just put a lid on there, obviously, and process until smooth. Only takes about 30 seconds, but I think it's well worth getting your blender dirty for. Now let's pull this whole quiche together. Our next ingredient, 6 lovely large BC eggs. Remember, every single large BC egg has 14 key nutrients, all 9 essential amino acids, 6 grams of the highest quality protein you can get, and 1 egg, it's only 80 calories. So we're gonna crack these into a big mixing bowl here. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we'll just take a whisk, beat these up. And then we'll add everything to this egg mixture. So starting with our blended onions, cream, and garlic, our reserved cooked bacon, 8 ounces of Gruyere cheese grated, and 2 ounces of grated cheddar. I use an old cheddar just for more flavor. We're gonna season that with a ½ teaspoon of salt and a ¼ teaspoon of ground black pepper. Switch utensils now to a spatula, and we're just going to bring this all together. You want to thoroughly homogenize, make a nice smooth mixture here. Make sure all the flavors, the salt, pepper, get everything all together everywhere in this mix. And all we have to do is just pour it in the pie shell and bake it off. That's how easy it is. All right, there's my pie shell. Here's my mixture. And literally just pour it in there. Being a standard 9-inch pie shell, you should have no problem holding all that mixture in there, especially now that we rolled out our pre-made pastry a little bit more. And all you want to do is smooth it out. You could even just take it, shake it like that because it's so liquid. The last finishing touch before it goes in the oven, some nice fresh chives on top. Gives it a little pop of green, a little bit more flavor. Just makes it a bit more exciting. All right. Let's take this to our preheated oven. I'm actually using my toaster oven today because it'll fit. So preheated at 350 degrees. We're gonna pop this in there. If you're using your big oven, just on the middle rack. And we'll cook that for about 40 to 45 minutes till everything's set. And we'll come back when it's done. All right, there's our timer. Wow, look how beautiful that looks. So to make sure it's done, obviously it shouldn't be jiggly at all, but if you really want to be sure, take an instant read internal thermometer, plunge it in the center, you should be 170, and then just take it out. Let it rest. I do it on a rack to help it cool a little faster. Let it rest for about 10 minutes if you're going to serve it warm. Otherwise you can serve it room temperature, or you can chill it and serve it cold. But I'll see you back here in 10 minutes, and we'll cut this thing open and have a bite. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. You just want everything to settle down. You'll also notice that the filling will sink down a little bit, totally normal. Remember when we pulled it out, it was all nice and puffed up. It's just gonna happen, just what it does, so don't panic about that. And let's just take a slice out and have a look at this beautiful quiche. All that bacon and cheese in there. I mean, how can you go wrong with this recipe? It's awesome. Get in there. The first piece is always the hardest to get out, but look at that, awesome. Now it's a bit hot, but I'm gonna taste this and let you know what I think. Wow, that is so good. With the bacon in there, all that cheese, you really can't go wrong with this recipe, and you are gonna impress everybody when you pull this off at the table for brunch, lunch, dinner, doesn't really matter. The recipe says to cut it into 6. I like to cut it into 8. You do whatever you want, but make sure you're checking out bcegg.com for this recipe, whole bunch of other great recipes, tips and tricks. And this is Chef Des, corporate chef of BC Egg, signing out. Where are you getting your protein from?